So this is the first thing I want to ask you is, what is your relationship with money? Now, feel free to stick some stuff in the chat or just write this down, because this is a very, very important part of the session. Right at the beginning is I want to know where you currently sit when it comes to money. And I mean this personally, not just in business. Because let's face it, if you're not happy with money, if you're not confident with money, if you're feeling uncomfortable with cash in your personal life, do you think that will affect your business? Yes, it will, completely. Because if you're living in a space of scarcity now, you're going to treat your money in business with scarcity too. If you're a spender, you're going to spend the money in the business too. So I really want you to just get really present for a minute. What is your current relationship with money? There's a bunch of really like this super, super relatable stuff in the chat. I'm competent, like I'm okay with it. I think I'm all right. There's lots of I'm awful with it. There's lots of I'm terrified of it. There's lots of, yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. And I think one of the things that Simon says in the intro to this session is we're all starting at different points. We're all at completely different points in this journey. And finance in the UK is a completely taboo subject. Let me take you through the really, really, really most basic version of a money system, right? And this is the format of this session. The first part is that money's going to come in. So once you've done all this amazing stuff that you've been learning with Simon and the team throughout the other weeks, you're going to go do all of your marketing, all of your sales work, do some incredible stuff. You're going to get a bunch of money in. That's part one. Now, I'm going to talk about how we bring money in. Some of you will do it in different ways. Some of you will take cash, some of you will take cards, some of you will take invoices. Some of you won't tell me. You dodgy lot. So you get your money in. What do you think the next bit is? Super obvious. Money goes out, because we spend money to make this thing happen. So those are called our expenses. The difference between how much money there's gone out and the amount that's come in is what we would call your gap in your personal finance, or in your business, it would be called profit. So that gap that you're left with, so you've bought a bunch of money in, you've spent a bunch of money making it happen, the bit you're left with, that's the profit. And then the thing you do with your next bit is you pay your tax. So your tax comes out of the profit that you make. In the same way as when you're employed, your tax is based on the amount you earn, which is your profit, your income. It's exactly the same in business. And this is whether you're running a limited company, whether you're a sole trader, whether you're a charity, whatever, the tax is always on the bit of profit you made at the end. It's not on the whole amount. And we'll talk more about that as we go. But this, what you've got on screen here, this is the most simplistic drawing of a money system. So what you'd probably do here is you go, okay, well, how am I bringing money in? Is it through cash? Is it through card payments? Am I using SumUp or something like that? Then I'm spending money. So what's my process here? How do I know and how do I keep track of what I've spent? You've then got, how do I work out my profit? And then how do I pay my tax? The more simple you make this process, the easier it is to manage. This is essentially the goal. So ignore business for a minute. I mean this across any income. If you're employed or it's the money that you're left with afterwards, I want you to focus on creating a gap. Now that gap we've already spoke about is you've got your money coming in and how much you've got going out. And that's life expenses, rent, like car, whatever it is. The amount you're left with is the amount you have to grow. That's the amount you've got to play with, right? So what I'd love you to focus on with that gap, there's two ways you can increase it. You can either earn more or reduce your spend. Ideally, we want to do both. But it's the same kind of thing, right? So the money comes in, and that's through sales and whatever else is going on. So you've got money coming into the business. You've got the money that goes out of the business. The gap in the middle, that's the profit. Right? So this is just another version of the graph I've already showed you, right? I want to keep going through this. Money in, money out, gap in the middle, that's the profit. That's the bit that you get taxed on. You don't get taxed on all of the money that comes in. You only get taxed on the bit in the middle, the bit you're left with. You then go and pay the tax to the tax man. The rest of it comes to you. Excellent. Then it becomes personal income. So then you've got the income from the business, there's personal spending, and there's your personal gap in the middle as well. Now, the number one killer of small business, does anyone want to guess what the number one killer of a small business is? Cash flow is the biggest killer of small business. Now, cash flow is how much money's coming in and how much money's going out at any one time. Because unfortunately, it's not so black and white that I do a bit of work, I invoice for the work, I get paid the amount as I'm spending the money. That doesn't always happen, right? So sometimes we need to make sure we've got enough money in the bank so that we can go and deliver the thing. If you're making 100 of your product, that's quite a big spend up front. If you don't get paid for those products for 6 months, you've got a huge amount of cash coming out of the business before any will come in. So what I want to really invite you with, and this is why systems are so important, because you need to know that the flow of cash in your business is going to look after you. You need to know that as money comes in, you can then start to spend some of it, and you always got that constant flow. If you're selling to other businesses, it's really important that you know what their payment terms are. So there are some companies that we work with, some councils that we've worked with, that haven't paid us for well over a year, right? And it takes quite a large amount of effort to make sure that we get them in and we make sure we chase them down. But it puts us at risk if we've already spent all of the money up front. So that's why one of our beliefs, and I know Simon would have said this already, we charge most of our work up front. The bit I really want everybody to embody: paying tax is a good thing. Why do you think that is? If we're paying tax, what does that mean? What does that mean for us as a business, as a person? If we're having to pay tax, it means that we've got profit. Yeah, we're making money. It's brilliant. That's a beautiful thing. If you're at the point where you have to pay tax because you've made too much money, that's where we want to get you. That would be amazing. What a brilliant outcome. Let's talk about money in. Now, your sales, the aim of this part of it is you must know how much money is coming in. And it doesn't matter how you track this. This can be on paper, this can be in a spreadsheet. Choose your weapon of choice. But you need to have an understanding of how much money is coming in. And more importantly, you need to know what you've been paid for and what you haven't. Because the thing we want to avoid happening is that you do a bunch of work and then forget to send an invoice. It happens. We've done it. So there are 3 ways that you can take money. I've mentioned these ever so briefly already. But the 3 ways, and I'm going to take you through the real granular parts of this, right? First one is send an invoice. So if you're delivering something to another business or another person, but it's not over a market store, it's not a physical product necessarily, it's something that you charge for over email, over something like that. Now, most of the time you'll find this in service-based business. Sometimes you'll see it in bespoke products as well. This is where somebody is going to pay you probably via bank transfer for the product or service that you have made. You would send them an invoice. The second way is you can take money online. You can take card online. This could be through PayPal. It could be online shop storefronts like Etsy or Vinted or whatever it is. But there's ways you can get paid online that go straight to your bank. And then the third and final one, get paid in cash. So these are the tips that we have learned, mainly through pain. These are the tips that we have learned through these, right? So the first one, always agree the payment terms up front. This protects both of you. So you must be in charge of this, but always agree the payment terms up front. And what I mean by payment terms is over what timeline will that invoice be paid? Is it due tomorrow? Is it due in 2 weeks' time, in a month? What timeline are you expecting? And are you being paid up front? Are you being paid afterwards? If I send you the invoice now, will you pay it when I've delivered it? All of that stuff. There's no right and wrong answer. The second one, number the invoices. Now, there's different ways of doing this. Most businesses will just individually number every single one. So it doesn't matter who it is, which client it is, doesn't matter. They'll just keep sending a different invoice. So then every single invoice has its own unique identifier. This is important because you need to know which ones have and haven't been paid. My third one, please take a deposit for big jobs. Please take a deposit for big jobs. We had a lady called Miriam came on a course in Reading, and Miriam was selling cupcakes, and she wanted to do like she was having a good time selling sort of 2, 3, 4 cupcakes at a time, but she wanted to sell 100 at a time. So who's going to buy that? It's probably going to be a business rather than an individual. So Miriam went and walked around all of the car dealerships in Reading, and she walked over to the BMW one after a few and went, I make these cupcakes, I can print logos on them, they're lovely, they're really good. The guy at BMW said, "Oh, that is amazing. Yes, we've got an event next week. I'd love it if you could make us 200 cupcakes." So Miriam's doing a backflip. She's only sold 3 or 4 at a time before. So 200 in one go. My Lord, yes, amazing. So Miriam runs out. She goes home. She buys all the ingredients. She goes and buys all the stuff. She then spends the next couple of days making this stuff to turn up to a closed car dealership and the guy nowhere to be found. Now, clients will do weird shit. I'll say that now, and I apologize on behalf of all clients. They will just do weird stuff. It happens. But Miriam didn't take a deposit. She didn't have payment terms. She didn't have an invoice or a quote written down. It was all just in the moment. Now, it happens. We're humans. We get excited. That's the sort of stuff we want to do. But what that meant was that Miriam was 200 cupcakes out of pocket. Now, Miriam managed to turn this into an effective marketing strategy. She chucked a business card in each one, and then she took those cupcakes around to every other car dealership, told them the story, told them what happened. She made more sales out of that opportunity than she would have otherwise. But if Miriam had taken a deposit, she would have been protected. Make sense? It works. Yeah, you can do 50%. It's a nice round number. People will be expecting of that. The goal here is that we cover at least the cost, maybe a bit of your time, so that if things go wrong, you're protected. That's what this is all about. I want you to think about what free online tools you can get, right? And I've mentioned a few already. We're going to talk about more of them shortly. But when you're designing your system, so that graph we had of like, well, this is how the money's coming in, this is how the money's going to be going out and how I'll track it. This is how much profit I think I'll make, and this is roughly the tax. If you chucked that into an AI or into Google or whatever, figure out what tools can help you do all of those things. Now, again, different tools work for different people. There's some that we're going to recommend. It's entirely up to you which ones you use. But I will tell you now, we have tested a lot. And I spent my life on this stuff. It's a nightmare. But we do that because we want to deliver the best value for you guys as possible. And we never recommend anything that we don't get you a better deal with as well. And then my final part of this, track the invoices and their status. So you need to know how many invoices have been sent out. You need to know who they've been sent to. Have they been paid or not? What we would recommend, and this is a big Donegan idea, if you've been on the Rebel Finance School, and you'll hear more of this, have a monthly finance meeting. Either with yourself, with the business, with other business owners, getting a network, doesn't really matter. But every month, sit down and just pay attention. Where am I at? Where's the money? What's coming in? What have I forgotten about? So that's invoicing. Those are my main tips for invoicing. But they are important. They are helpful. There are some legal requirements for these things, right? And I'm going to really quickly do this. Feel free to take a picture of this, but I'm not going to go into detail with all of it. The invoice must have a unique number. It must have your name/business name. If you're a sole trader, I'm going to talk about business structures in a minute. It will just be your name, right? And the business, the trading name that you're running. If it's a limited company, it will have its own business name. You need your company number or your UTR. You need the customer's name and address. You need a clear description of what it is that you're putting the money on. You need the date and the services of what it's done, the invoice date, and then the amount that's being charged. And if you've got a VAT number and an amount, that'd be great too. These are the legal requirements that you need to put on any invoice. So please take a picture of this now if you need this. We will also send this out in the notes, so don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen.